All right, so we're going to talk today about fighting your simpiness, okay, and not being a simp. So it's not as simple as people think. Like, it is not simple. It is actually very, very complicated in order to not be a simp, to not find yourself. And every guy finds themselves in simpy situations. It's just the way it is. No matter if you're dating chicks and you're around chicks, you're going to find situations where you're like, oh shit, I didn't realize I was getting into this, or I didn't realize that. So I want to kind of help you to, because here's the thing. On the internet, everyone's going to say they hate simps. They're going to call guys simps, even the word, right? And yeah, I was just watching a video by Pearl Daly, and she's like, basically, there's some kind of a big problem with simps in the world, right? Which is causing all these problems in the world. Now, the reason why she didn't break down what it is because she doesn't know. She knows what the end result looks like, is like a weak guy. But I want to explain how you don't, from the start, how you don't go down that road or end up like that. Because I think inside every man there is a fear, because it's a battle with women, right? It is. They're trying to change you, essentially, and you are trying to keep them the same. That's really what the game is you want them to stay the innocent girl they are when you meet them, and they want you to become another person. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like the marriage game or relationship game. It's very controlling from both sides. I personally don't want to control women. I don't see it as even remotely interesting or possible. So I just enjoy the moment, but I employ everything I'm going to talk about in this video so that I don't get into situations where I'm kind of trapped or I'm stuck, or I just don't like the whole thing. And I figured it out. So let me see if I can explain it to you. And I think, as far as I know, this is the first video on the internet to talk about this, to really break it down, how you don't get caught. So I'm just going to give you an example this morning. So last night, we're staying in Enoshima, and we were walking to the supermarket to get some dinner. And sure enough, these two girls came, both pretty cute, pretty darn cute. I would say they're both very tiny, which I like. They're spinners, both of them, and they're young. They're not old. They're in their, I would say, mid-20s.
They'd be 9 in the West.
Yeah, they would be 9s. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, totally.
That's a good point. They would be 9s in the West.
I mean, pretty
yeah, I'm giving a very harsh judgment here. Yeah, no, they would be 9s in the West. That's true. They're very fuckable, because their bodies are like such little packages. No fat. Yeah, 80 pounds. And they both have like long hair. They're both young. They're feminine. Both of them speak Japanese. So when they're from Vietnam. So when Chinese girls learn Japanese, they also learn a lot of feminine behaviors with that. But I am like a detective. I'm like Dick Tracy. I want to find out the deal, because I know Vietnamese girls are not Japanese girls. And so I don't fall for that either. So I'm always trying to figure out what the fuck is actually happening here. So let me start this thing and say what happened. So last night we were walking along, and our landlord for our Airbnb was taking us to our room. They came along. Sure enough, it's kind of like nighttime. There's not many people around. And two like pretty hot girls dressed up nicely come up to the lady, and they started asking her questions. And okay, so this is important. So the first thing is, they came up. Now, what do guys do? You're walking late at night. It's not late, but it's like 8 or 9, and there's no girls around, and 2 9s come along. What do? Well, basically, most guys they basically would stop everything and look at the girls, and then the girls were trying to ask our landlord questions. Okay, so now the landlord was helping us. and they interrupted this process. So we were going to our room. So immediately I didn't like them because I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I realized right away what they were doing. They were basically just didn't care that we were getting taken to our room. They just were just, hey, we have a fucking question. Like, tell us the answer. And then the landlord, being kind of weak, I could just tell she's kind of a nice lady. She's kind of weak-willed. And she just does whatever you ask her. So she kind of like started telling them. And then I said, okay, in my mind, let's just call it the alpha mindset. In my alpha mindset mind, I said, these bitches are interrupting us. That's not great. It's not the end of the world, but it's not the greatest sign ever either. Right. So I'm like, okay, fine. And they're hot. Okay, fine. So then, by most people's standards, they're very hot. Okay, so then I said, well, what the fucking question are they asking? Since the landlord's talking to him, I'm sitting there. My brain is always like an engine ready to run. I'm like, so, well, let's just pay attention to this. What's the next step? What are they asking? And the girl goes, she said in Japanese, she said, can we check out at 3? Now, it's a 3-day weekend. We're at the beach. There's fucking tons of young people here. Every room is booked. They're jacking up prices. It's like full 4th of July vibe. Of fucking course you can't check out at 3 in Japan. There's no fucking way. There's not even a chance in hell you can check out at 3. The only way they get a check out at 3 is if they had a guy landlord maybe who is simpy and let them, right? But this is a woman and she's not going to do it. So she's like, she looks at them like, what the fuck? And she's like, no, check out is 11. And then they're like, oh. And they're like, kind of like, he was just like, again, I was disappointed. Because if it was me and I asked an outrageous request, I would have said, I know this is fucking outrageous. And I know everything's packed. But is there a time later than 11 that we could check out? I wouldn't say 3. I mean, in Japan, that's like so outrageous. 3 o'clock checkout is fucking out of control, right? I would have said, is there any wiggle room on the 11, And then if I did it the right way, the landlord might say, you know what? There is. I scheduled the guy to come at 12:30. So why don't we just call it 12:30? And then I would have been like, oh, thanks. And I would have said, if I would have interrupted, I would have said, sorry about that. I know you guys are going to your room. I'll get out of here. Thank you very much. Bye. If I was going to do that. Generally, I wouldn't do that. But if I did, I would be aware that there's other people in the world. These girls didn't do any of that. And they just, looked disappointed. They didn't say to the lady, of course. Oh, by the way, the place was great. Because it is great. Great house. And good service. Clean, new, convenient. Everything was good about it. And cheap. Reasonable price for this area. None of that. Nothing. Just like this kind of disappointed girl face. They didn't say anything. And I'm just like, these chicks are retards is what I'm thinking, right? So anyway, we went into the supermarket. But there's nobody around here. So everywhere we walked, we ran into them. Now, again, what is the simp in me? The simp in you would smile, wait for them. Because they were looking like they wanted to talk. Like they were bored out of their minds, walking around. And we were the only 2 guys cruising around. So they were running into us. When girls run into you over and over, there's a reason, right? And I'm not stupid. I realize that. But at the same time, I'm like, wait. These girls aren't 10s. And I'd like to see them without their makeup. You know what I mean? Like to really see. Because we do have a lot of options here in Japan. So I'm like, I'm not 100% sure how hot they are. Especially the one who can't speak Japanese as well. So, but they're both pint-sized sex dolls. Like their bodies. So that part is fine. That part is I love that part. But the personality matters too because these dolls have a personality, right? They're living, right? So basically I ignore them. I walk by them. I didn't even look over. And I came back to the house. Sure enough, I'm sitting there eating. One of them comes in. The one that's more interested, that speaks Japanese. She comes in. In the first floor, I'm in the kitchen. She started to talk to me. Now, again, what does a simp do? A simp would talk to any hot girl who's interested in him. And what I'm saying is, I would fuck her, okay? But it's going to be on my terms, okay? So I am not here I'm not they don't pay me to talk to them. I'm not like in awe of their beauty. There's nothing. If they want to fuck me, that's fine, But that's it. Like they got to show me something. Like give me something. Mm-hmm. Give me something, right? And then they're not giving me anything. They're just kind of throwing out little bones, right? Mm-hmm. So I can feel it. Like I can feel it. There's this invisible wall between them and a girl who is offering, a girl who really likes me. A girl who really likes me, she would be smiling different. There'd be a shyness. Mm-hmm. There might be a little blush in the cheeks. There would be almost an uncomfortableness with my presence. Because I think I had no shirt on in a small room. That, if a girl really liked me, because I look pretty good with shirt off. So most girls they feel, if a girl loves you or likes you, she will be scared of you, basically. Okay, that's one thing I learned over the years. If a girl doesn't like you, then she has no fear of you at all. There's something in a female brain when they really, I think, I'll explain what I think it is. I think when a girl sees you and she wants to fuck, she likes you a lot, she feels fear. Now, I've had girls tell me this over the years, so this is from my own personal research. And when they no longer care about you, they don't feel fear. So it's not fear of you, it's not fear of your body. What it is I think, it's the fear that they know that this could be the man that changes their life forever. Because what is the one thing that happens to a woman that changes her forever? Motherhood. And there is a fear of motherhood in women. I mean, they want motherhood, but at the same time, they're terrified of it. Because they know they can never go back. Once, like even in kimonos, a woman who's married has long sleeves on her kimono. And a woman who's single has short sleeve. So it is like a permanent thing once you're married, once you have kids. And women know that. They know that there's going to be a man on a white horse at some point who's going to fuck them somewhere, back of a car, it doesn't matter. But that is going to change their life forever. Like their girlhood, their innocence, their father, their most deepest impressions of living on planet Earth are now no longer relevant. It's a whole new world. They're now a mother, and everything changes for them. We don't have that as guys, so we don't feel that fear because we can always leave as men traditionally. We know that we're not tied to the kid. Now, of course, we want to be tied to the kid as modern men, but I'm talking the lizard brain now. So the lizard brain in the girls is like, one day a man's going to come and he's going to destroy my whole life and rebuild me again into another person that I don't know what that's going to be like. Like, I don't know if I'm going to like this new life. That is what is causing the fear. It's nothing like toxic nothing. No, it's a fear and love and bonding and growth and human experience and rebirth, and it's all the deep things in life except for death. Love and hate and frustration. It's everything that man represents that could impregnate them. So she had no fear of me. So I realized that she's one of these. She was okay. So here's what I thought: she is interested in me, obviously, but she's not afraid of me. So what that means is this is a no-nonsense cold girl. She's like pretty cold because, one, she's too hot not to have a boyfriend. Okay. And I figured out later, I got him to basically admit it this morning. So they have boyfriends, but they're away from their boyfriends on a weekend trip with their girl, and they want to have fun, basically. which is fine. I'm not against that. But it doesn't, at the same time, I'm not into cucking guys. Like, it doesn't give me wood like a lot of people. Like, you don't think it would for you? It might. Okay. For me, I feel sorry for the guys. Like, part of me is like, oh, that sucks. Like, I prefer a more pure girl than that. I mean, it's a consolation prize, and it's not the end of the world, and I fuck girls that have boyfriends and married. You know, but it doesn't get me off. That's a big difference. Some guys, it fucking gets them off. It does. It gets them off. So keep in mind, there's different things get you off, and when something gets you off, it's a fundamental part of who you are and how you operate. For me, it's not something nothing. It's like, no. I won't let myself go there, is basically what it is. Okay? It's not that I'm not tempted. I just won't let myself. So just like I won't fuck my friends' girlfriends. I never have, never would. Even when I was using drugs, 19, it's never happened in my entire life. And my friends listen to this podcast now, so they know. Like, I've never fucked my friend's girlfriend, ever. So, not even in my weakest moment. Drunk in a blackout, it's never happened. So, what else can we learn about how not to be a simp? See, by understanding her totally, it allows me to see what I'm getting into. Girls are not a big floating cloud for me. They're not like a starlet in the sky with lasers, you know. They're not Sailor Moon. It's just, I'm looking at them, trying to figure them out. What should I do today? What am I going to do with these? What's available here? What's really going on? And then do I want to do it? Do I want to whatever? So basically, I went into the room, closed the door, and just ignored him. So again, that's powerful. She came to talk to me in the kitchen, talk. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to eat and go to sleep. So I did eat and go to sleep, took a shower. And in the morning, I'm out drinking coffee in the hallway. And the girl's like, she was like, oh my God. She's like surprised because you're not supposed to sit there. And then all of a sudden she puts on the charm. She's like kind of charming. But I've already seen her real face. It's more like I see her more as like a good faker now at this point, which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to, I'm not saying I will let her suck my dick or anything, but it's not the most attractive thing. If you have choice, you'd prefer an innocent girl who really is sincere and straightforward, right? And this girl's harder. That's what it is. She's harder than an innocent girl. Maybe her life was hard in Vietnam. Maybe she grew up in a difficult circumstance. That's not her fault. But I'm not here to fucking fix people. She's either the kind of girl I like, or she's not really that type, So anyway, now she's flirting, walking by like a million times. Like, how many fucking times they walked by our door? Like, there must have been like 40 times.
A lot.
Yeah, like 40 times.
They're giggling and making little noises and going, ah.
Yeah, they're just trying to get our attention.
But we got the door closed.
Yeah, it's basically like, it's 2 guys and 2 girls in a house. There's nobody else here.
Yeah.
So, like, they're just giggling and going back and forth. And then finally she comes in, and she's Vietnamese, so they made spring rolls for us. So she comes in and said, oh, I made these. Would you like them? And she handed me the spring rolls. And she didn't even ask for the container back. And I said, well, what about the fucking container, right? And then she said, she said, you can just leave it outside the door. So I was like, okay. So we ate the spring rolls. She walked by, said, thanks, they're good and everything. And then I put the plastic thing outside. See, now, a simp, because the door is open. And now the door is open. So they're walking by our door, because their room is down the hall right from us. So a simp, and this is the subtle thing simps do, is they leave the container in the room. So she has to come in. A simp is always coercing people and trying to control people. That's another thing about simps. And playa, the alpha mindset, you're not trying to control. People think alphas try to control. It's not true. Non-alphas try to control. because they think they can't get it again, or this is the best they're going to get, or whatever. So this is the best odds. For me, I make them work for it, basically. So I put the thing outside, even though I'm sitting here with the door open. And so she like grabs it and then puts it in her room, right? And she was like, oh, because I could have either said, had it here, right? And then she would come in and ask for it and come in my room and then be all, where's, and then we would talk. And by now she's kind of bending over and showing me more. And they're dressed really nice now. They're going to go out. They're like really fancy now. They got makeup on, their hair's done. Like I wonder if they would have got that well dressed if we weren't here, to be honest. They were like dressed to the nines now to go to a temple in the heat, right? Yeah. They're fucking pretty dressed up, really. Fancy shoes, white dresses. Yeah, white dresses, little things in their hair, everything, right? So, so now here's the key thing. So they come in, and she said, "Do you come with us to the temple?" She's like, "Come with us," and it's very inviting. I'm standing at the door, I'm looking at her. She looks great now, and she's like, "Come with us to the temple." She's like doing this kind of schoolgirl, like what's that called when they bend their knees and kind of like
jump up and down. Yeah,
kind of jump up and down like "Daddy, please." She was kind of like, "Come with us to the temple." She did a little of that. So I was like, I go, yeah, no. And I go, I said, we're kind of like, nah, kind of like not. In Japanese, I said very subtly, because her Japanese was good enough. I just kind of said, none, basically without saying it. I said, in a very subtle way, I said, we're kind of around today, but we're not like on call. Like, we're not like going to go now. Like, we're not going to rush and get ready or anything, kind of thing. Like, we're here, we're stoked, but, you guys go do your thing, and then maybe we can, meet up later, kind of thing. That was the kind of vibe. And then she's like, well, but, like the temple, like, let's go to the temple now, she said. Let's go. And then her friend came up. Her friend, like, joins in, and her friend, like, bent over. So she was, like, really, like, supporting her friend, not cock blocking. And so then I started to, there was too many hard moves here that were not panning out. So I'm like the detective trying to figure them out. And this is exactly how you don't be a simp. The way you don't be a simp is by understanding women. Because once you understand women and you understand yourself, you'll be less tempted. Because you won't see them as angels. You'll understand what they're doing. Like your sister. You don't get simpy over your sister. Because you understand her. Oh, she just wants to do that. Okay. That's not that angelic, right? You just, oh, she wants to ride horses. Okay. Yeah, but I don't want to right now, But, So anyway, so then she's like, it was pretty, like a Japanese girl would never do that. She was really straightforward, like, let's go to the temple. And then her friend comes in and bends over, like, like, we're looking eye candy, right? And so here's what they were offering. Here's what I saw. Here's the alpha mindset. I saw two girls, early 20s, maybe mid 20s, 80 pounds, less than 40 kilograms, cute, dressed up, flirting with us, but there's something wrong. When something's wrong, just like everything's right, but something's wrong. And I'm like, something's fucking wrong here. And so then I said, do you have Instagram? And then they kind of like tailed off, and I came over with my phone and I showed her, my Instagram. And then she pulls up her Instagram and she shows me the temple they're going to. So now I can see she's deceptive because she knows what I want. I'm sitting here unshaven, unclean, not going to go right now. And I'm saying, hey, give me a way to contact you so we can fuck later. Right? Because I'm sitting here with no shirt on and a fucking running shorts and no shoes. We're looking good. We're all tanned. We've been at the beach. I've been at the beach a lot. We're looking beach boy, right? We're beach boy with no shirt on. And basically shorts that are like 8 inches long. Like they're like tiny. And then girls like these shorts. That's why I bought them. Girls think these are sexy. They'll never admit they think guys' legs are sexy, but they do. Short shorts. Sometimes it's good. So I sleep in these, and then I kind of, if there's a girl I'm kind of interested in, I kind of lounge around. Yesterday I was lounging on the sofa with my legs open, and these two girls were like, oh my God, they were totally into it. They came downstairs. So you got to know the alpha mindset. You know how you look. So you don't do things. You do things that do things without saying anything, without doing anything, basically. You're leveraging logistics over effort, right? So I see right away she's deceptive, which I felt she was deceptive the whole time. There's just something a little deceptive about her, a little hard, a little third world. You know what I mean? Life is hard, right? Japanese girls, they're not so deceptive. Just because life is better here, it's easier. They don't have to be. It's tricky, you know. So now she's trying to trick me. She's like, here's the temple. And I'm thinking like, you know what I fucking mean. So then
She showed the temple on Instagram.
Yeah, she showed the temple on Instagram.
Instead of giving him her Instagram.
Right. And she knows what I want. And I'm like, what she was basically demanding that because they're hot, we're going to just like get ready in 2 seconds and we're going to go with them. And the reason why, here's what they were offering. Here's what she was offering us. She was offering us cute girls on a date at a temple. She was offering us pictures, minimal little hugs. She was offering us social status, basically. So we can have these eye candy girls with us. And what I said, so here's the simp mindset, is one, you don't even know what they're offering. But all you know is that it's pretty hot. Let's go. So for me, I'm like, I don't want that. But what I would like is a blowjob tonight. You know, that's what I would like. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, okay, I don't want that. So then it's this constant not being a simp and being an alpha. There's only two. There's no middle ground. Okay. You're either a simp or an alpha. That's it. So you don't want to be a simp, right? So you're always fighting against that part of yourself as when you're in the alpha mindset. You're always fighting against it. You're always trying to figure out. And they will trick you sometimes. But an alpha gets tricked. So you're okay. This is basically teaching you how to be an alpha, really. Because it's not about fucking the girls. It's about being in control of your life and not letting them manipulate you. That's really what the bottom line is. That's alpha. And girls consider that alpha. Because they try to manipulate the milkman, the postman, to give them better service, the mechanic to do a better job.
The landlord just yesterday.
The landlord, they're constantly testing their manipulation skills. And they're looking at guys who can't be manipulated. I'm always that guy that they're like, I know that guy wants to fuck me, so it's not like he's not interested. But he can't be manipulated, even in small ways. You're constantly heading him off at the pass in a nice way. Okay, because you can be a dick and not manipulated. It's almost better to be a simp than a dick. It really is. Like a dick is just like lonely and angry and fucked. At least a simp's got a girl. Like you got kids maybe. That's not that bad. Yeah. Kids are cool. Kids are awesome. I mean, it could be like being a total dick and a social outcast in a way, unwanted. It's not, I don't see that as the greatest thing in the world myself. So what you want to be is you want to be a guy who knows what's going on, who won't let it happen, but is fucking attractive. And girls think about you just because you can't be manipulated. Okay, so then I said, basically, now they're playing games. So even though I knew it was hopeless, I said, here, type in your fucking thing here. Like I took it to the next level. I put my phone in her face. I said, type in your name here. And then they both took like a 2-inch step backwards. And then I called them. I go, oh, you have boyfriends. That's why, and I said in Japanese, I'm like, you have boyfriends. And then I go, kawaiso. I said like the poor fucking guys. And then they just started cracking up because I figured them out. So basically, these are girls that have boyfriends, and what they're looking for, they're kind of loyal to their boyfriends basically, but they're playing a lot of games that the boyfriends would hate.
Right.
because they're fucking showing us a lot, right? The one that bent over, like, it's not that she had huge tits or anything, but I mean, I could almost see the nipples. Like, it was close. It was very close to the nipple when she bent over. And I was like, that's interesting. That's fucking interesting. They're going to let us go to the temple with them. For sure take pictures, which means hug, right? That's what you do with a girl. You hold her, you know, like a couple. You kind of like lean against. There's that heat of the two bodies, right? And that's what they wanted. So I figured them out. And I called them on it. And I said, you know, and then I was like, no, it's cool. Basically, it's cool. And then they left. And they were like, not leaving that fast. They kind of like slowed down and they went to the stairs. And they were like having a little discussion. I couldn't hear what they were saying because it was in Vietnamese. But they were having a little discussion. Like, I think the girl, if they were pissed, they would have just left. I think one of the girls was kind of like, fuck. You know, these guys are not going to, fuck. Kind of like, maybe, my feeling is they're kind of like, maybe these guys are more attractive than we thought.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like, these guys aren't like my dad that gets pushed around. Fuck. Like, fuck. I kind of want to try again with these guys, is my feeling. It's not that they're all wet and everything, although they could be wet. Because girls will tell you their pussies get wet in weird times. Like, I've had girls tell me the truth about their pussies and wetness, and they'll just be like, I was in class one time, and the teacher like looked at me and said, I'm going to put you in detention. My pussy just got super wet. I had girls tell me like exactly in their life when they got wet. So I've learned a lot about that from after I bone girls and you're laying around and that kind of discussion. I'm always trying to understand girls better and understand them better. So they tell me stuff and then I'm like, wow. So then I realize like girls get wet despite themselves. And it's kind of like random. And it's not like in bed. No, it's like with clothes on in church. You know, somewhere, right? Normal class, you know, while getting disciplined, you know, or whatever, right? So anyway, I let them go. We didn't get their number. And we won't be here when they come back. Because now they've kind of showed us enough. I see them as kind of cold, kind of cheating in an emotional way. I don't see them as very charismatic. Like neither one, like some girls are so charismatic with their eyes. They just look at you and they're just like, and you're just like, oh, this girl's fucking, ooh, she hits it, you know. They weren't like that. They were just like hot girls. Let's see, what is it? It's okay. It's kind of like a steak with no smell, is what they are. Like you go to a steak restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And you smell that fucking steak, and you feel like, God damn, this is gonna be a good meal. But if you see a steak behind a glass, like panel, it's not nearly as attractive because you can't smell it. The same as a cup of coffee or a rose. A rose behind a glass panel is not very attractive, and because it's all part of the aura of a rose, right? And I see them as that. And now, whether that's their personality or that's what they do to us, I feel like that's their personality. If I'm going to give them a Paul psychoanalysis, and my psychoanalysis is usually right about girls, I think that's the way they are. I think they had a hard life in Vietnam. They learned Japanese, but not that well. They don't speak that great Japanese. They're not that smart, right? And they're not that good at lying. They're not that good at cheating. They're not that charismatic. They're not that interesting. But they do have like little sex doll bodies. And that's very fucking hot to me. So that's what I would, that's not enough to force me to do anything. But that's the total, like, in the end, that's what we're dealing with here. Yeah. And also, too, I'm not a big fan of girls who get dressed up to go to temples. Like, just because I feel like you can't rail them in the bathroom. Like, girls that... I had a old man tell me once, is if a girl, you know, like, say you fuck her, right? and she puts her panties on, again, before you go to sleep, don't marry her. He said, don't marry a girl who puts her panties on. He said, because a girl who makes herself available to you, she really likes you. She wants you and her to be one. She wants to be near you. And she wants to be there for any kind of surprise. Whereas another girl's like putting on something like she wants to control and have something between you. And I don't find that kind of girl as attractive. And some of this is just personality traits of girls, not how much they like me. I think guys exaggerate how much a girl likes you and how she acts and the girl's basic personality. The alpha mindset always tries to figure out the girl's basic personality because in the end, that's going to show through. Guys will say, oh, I only pick a girl who loves me. Yeah, that's great. You do want a girl who loves you. But I say, go to the mask, behind the mask, take off the in Japan, they have the no masks, at the traditional plays. Take off the mask, see the personality underneath. Of course, if she likes you, that's nice. But if her basic personality is cold, I'm not using that as put down. I'm doing that as facts. If her basic personality is cold and not erotic and not playful, and those two are together, girls that are playful are erotic. Girls that are not playful are not erotic. They might do erotic things. Like I had one, very recently that she was very erotic as far as what she would do with me. But I knew from my own experience, she wasn't really erotic. And I said in a podcast about her, I said, when she offered the pussy, it was like pounding a loaf of bread to me. It was just like offering, here's some bread, Yeah. And she's like, here's some pussy. And I'm like, a more simpy guy would have said, oh my God, because the girl was good looking. Yeah. She'd be like, oh my God. And she had a good pussy too. She had super good pussy. She had one of those kind of peach-like pussies at the top of the peach where it kind of folds in. Mm-hmm. She had that kind of pussy, a white girl. And I love that kind of pussy. That's like, watch my episode on searching for the best pussy because I get into the details of that. It's a very important episode, actually. The guy, you should care about that. But I noticed that she was, and I hate to say this, but she was damaged, and I think she had been abused. She was in her life. It was obvious she was abused, actually. Mm-hmm. So, one of 9 kids, dad in prison, she was abused. So, girls that have been abused are kind of hopeless. And guys exaggerate how much they can fix a person because of love or because of your amazingness. I don't exaggerate my amazingness. I basically take the route of this. Here's my thinking about damaged people is, okay, of course. And she was damaged not through her own doing, okay? She was damaged by outside forces that were wrong. Okay, it was a tragedy what happened to her, basically. But, that happened to her and that's terrible. But nothing I can do, see, alpha mindset is kind of the opposite of alpha mindset in a way. Because I see my own inability to affect the world. That gives me strength. See, if I think I can do things I can't do, okay, I exaggerate my powers, right? Then what am I ultimately? A fool. And ultimately you're going to fail. When you see, honestly, like when I see a damaged girl, what I see is, oh my God, that's so terrible. Like I wish I could have met her before she was damaged. is what I think. And I do feel bad for her. I do. I feel like that's just fucking not right. Especially this particular one. She went through a lot of terrible shit. Okay. But, unfortunately, just like I see a lot of people in the world, and some people live very tragic lives. I mean, some kids die 1-year-old. It's like there's a lot of tragedy out there and beauty. But we all are trying to have the best lives we can. And you're definitely smart to avoid damaged people at the end of the day. Like damaged friends, damaged girls, they just don't get fixed. They're like tragic figures in a play. It is a terrible thing. And the person should go to hell that did it. But at the end of the day, what you have is a person that cannot be fixed by another person. You can't go back in time. You can't make them trust people again. So they're bitter, they don't trust, and they're the most likely to cheat on you too. Because of the bitterness. They feel like life is unfair. So basically, I'm going to get mine. Like, that's what most damaged people do. They are not out helping people. So it's kind of like, if you look at anybody like a Charles Manson type guy, and that's what, the criminal justice system is like, is he a product of his parents or is he just evil? And at the end of the day, it's somewhere in the middle, but you don't want him as your roommate. It's like you just avoid people like that. Because, let's face it, maybe something bad happened to them, but they're going to do something terrible to you. So, you can't let that happen. It's kind of like in a war, You don't want to shoot anybody, of course. But if the guy's got his gun aimed at you, you got to take the guy out. Otherwise, you're going to be gone. So, it's like one of these terrible choices, really. So, what I'm doing is constantly trying to figure out the reality of who I'm dealing with. And then, by subtly letting them know that I knew they were cheating on their boyfriends, I took it up a level. Because they're like, fuck, this guy's fucking smart. This guy figured this out right here.
Right away.
Yeah. And the reason why I did that is because of the very small chance that there could be a reset. There could be a reset in the girls. One, because I could feel it was true and I wanted to see the reaction. Because I always want to know if my instinct's right. When I saw the reaction, it was so obviously right. And so I'm not afraid of the truth. Like, I'm not afraid of being wrong, so I was testing it. And then the girls reacted. I realized, oh my God, they have serious boyfriends. Now, it's a complicated pickup what I was doing, because what I'm saying now is, like, I know you guys are dishonest. I know you don't care about other people's feelings that much. I know that you do a lot of fakery. I know that you pretend like you're misunderstanding Instagram. I know that you have a boyfriend and that you're emotionally cheating on him. Like, I know all that stuff. But I'm still here. So if they come back, if the girl comes back, I might say something quite direct to her. Like, are you happy? And then, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she just comes over, starts hugging me and shit. Like, because she'd be just like, fuck, this guy reads my fucking mind. And then we could have a very nice time together. And she would have an emotional experience that would be very good. But if we don't get that, I don't want any of it. So I'm not saying she's untouchable, but it would require some kind of change on her part to be truly interesting. Now, don't get me wrong. If she comes back and wants to give me BJ, but it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But the other could happen. There's always a chance when a girl figures a guy out. And I've had many girls tell me, they're like, you fucking read my mind. You're like, how the fuck do you do that? You know? And I'm just like, you just get to know girls. And then you look at the clues, right? That's the alpha mindset. So I'm not spending today wasting time. I'm not hanging around till 11 on purpose. Now, if we do, we do. But if we like, for example, end up showering and eating and just taking a lot of time and we're here when they get back, that's fine. I'm not escaping them. I'm not running away from them. But I'm also not going slow so I can see them. See, so now the ball's in their court. If they fucking want to see us, they're going to have to leave the temple early, rush back, and then show me something, right? Like fucking show me something, right? Yeah. I want to see something. Like if you're having an emotional response, I want to fucking make out with her in a room, right? Yeah. At the very least. A nice little fucking, you know what I mean, grabbing her waist and side of her leg and stuff. And, you know, I'm going to go at the speed that it feels right. But I want I want her to say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I'm opening up here, right? This is like, I'm opening up. And then that is very attractive to me, right? Now, I will never forget what I learned when I first met her. As long as I'm dating her, she has a cold side to her. That doesn't mean she can't be very warm at times, but long term, she's out. I'm not gonna, there's no long term, but short term could be very hot, and it might even be good for her. Because girls, they really love it when a guy figures them out. They really like, it's a catharsis because they're so used to guys falling for their shit. They're so used to it that they don't respect men at all. Because like no guy can ever break through. And as a alpha mindset, you are the guy who doesn't need it, but sees her for who she is, and is a man. You know, when you're a man with a dick who can give her a lot and understands her. And like that is very powerful. That's what you want to be. All right, that's about it.